Hello, are you ready to make a slimline card? You might be wondering, what is a slimline card? Because I was when I heard everyone talking about these long and lean cards. So I went online and I started searching, what is a slimline card? And I found out that it's something that looks like this. It's long and lean, generally use almost a sheet of paper for the card, but you can make this really fun coordinating envelope, which I think is just really cute and exciting. So let me show you my version of the slimline. This is another one that I have that I made. So with these ones, I have the rainbow paper, and then this is, I stamped the image and then cut out the cones and added some ribbon and some great designer series paper from the ice cream set. So for this one, I actually got my inspiration for the measurements. I actually took them directly from Sharon Armstrong. So I want to certainly give her credit. She's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, whom I don't know. I just found the information and I tried the card and it worked great. So I wanted to share it with you and putting it together. And my design layout, I found a card that Emma Goddard did. She's a UK Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And she put together a really pretty card using the butterfly paper that is now, it's retired because it sold out so quickly. And it was a special opportunity to buy. But she then cut out butterflies, which looked really sweet. But I saw that and I'm like, oh, I think I could do something with ice cream cones for sure. So let's go ahead and get these started. And let me spotlight my desktop so that you can see how they work. All right, so here we are. This is the slimline up close and in person. Now the difference between these two, besides the ice cream cone top, obviously are the ribbons. And then here, while I've used You're So Cool on both of them, on this one it's inked with Melon Mambo. And on this one I actually did some heat embossing. So you can see the shimmer there, which is kind of fun because it looks icy. So I do like that. And I have not stamped anything on the inside. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I'm waiting on that. But let me go ahead and get started on piecing this together. So there's also a purple color. So in my class, some of the people got the purple colored cones and the purple colored paper with the pink backdrop paper. And this one, we'll be making the envelope out of the pink, but so many of the papers coordinate quite nicely with this suite that you can really use so much of what you may already have. So I've already cut this to size and I've scored it. A little hard to see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold that over. And without mushing those at all. And this is a great card to make because I did a lot of punch work with the fantastic ice cream cone punch. See? And so it was not a lot of stamping. The only thing I needed to stamp was my greeting. And then if I want to stamp the envelope or anything like that. But in putting this together, I cut my paper and gave myself an allowance for the edge. Some of them I went right to the edge so it completely fills up the bottom half. Either way is quite nice. And to make that cut happen, I did the full sheet. And then let me grab my trimmer here. All I did was I just put this here and then did my trimmed paper and cut it off. So I had two pieces. And I didn't do anything super special. I just went with the angle that I thought was going to look good. It's quite forgivable. So however you do it, I'm sure it'll come out great. So if I stick this on here, which I'm going to go ahead and do, and I'm using seal for this piece of paper, adhering it, and then I'm going to use the ice cream cone for the ice cream cone and the scoop I will put it on with dimensionals to give it some pop. Okay. So here we are. And for my class attendees, I made up the bows ahead of time. So my bow is pre-made. Lots of ribbons would look great with this. And you know what? If you're giving it to a guy, maybe you don't want to put a ribbon on it because they probably wouldn't appreciate it so much. But I think, the sparkly cones are kind of eye-catching. They make you want to touch it a little bit. So, and the other thing that you can also do, so this is the rainbow specialty paper. So it does have a really nice glitter to it, but it doesn't come off, which I really like. It doesn't come off on my finger. It's not going to come off on your card or on your table. So it's quite workable. And I have a little early espresso ink here. And I just got some on my thumb. So I want to wipe that before I touch anything else. Let me just grab my paper towel, because that will no doubt smudge right where I don't want it to. Okay, so I have jimmies and I have like a crunch coating thing. I think I want to do jimmies. So we'll do this. I'm going to gently stamp my ink. And on my ice cream cone, I'm going to go ahead and put those on. And it's not a paper surface like the cardstock is, so it's not quite so porous. So I want to give this a little time to dry, and I'm going to be careful when I handle it too, in case it's not fully dry. You can use the Memento ink, and of course the Stays On would for sure stay on, so that's an option as well. And so then I've got my Melon Mambo ink here. And again, lots of colors would work, and if you only have, a black, that would look great too, or a navy, or even like the early espresso, a darker color would be striking on it. So I'm going to just set that aside while I have my inks out, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp up my You're So Cool. And I'm putting it in the upper corner here, not too high. There we go. You're so cool. And I want to think about placement, so I'll lay them out before I put them on. So I think because that one is yellow at the top, as is the paper, I want a little more color here. Middle of the road, and then little baby. Okay, so let's find the dimensionals. I'm going to close up the ink for now. I don't know that I'm going to use it again right away. And I will get my dimensionals. And these ones are getting low, so I'm going to trim on the bottom because I like to use up every part of sticky I can before I move on to something else. Here we are. And I do one row at a time. Otherwise, I find I reach for a new pack before I should. Okay, so we're going to flip these over. And what you can do to test to see if it's dry is simply flip it over and rub it onto the paper without popping it about. And I didn't really have anything come off, so I'm pretty confident that they're secure. The ink is absorbed into something there, right? So I'm going to put dimensionals on each of my scoops. Here we go. And each of my cones. So I punched these out of this designer series paper. It was on the back side of the little ice creams there. And on some of them, you'll notice that there's a little paper. The paper isn't quite clear, but to me that looked just like a regular ice cream cone. I always get the ones with the broken edges, or maybe there's a little paper from the wrapper that's still there. So I figured it's pretty realistic and not to fret about the fact that it wasn't a clean cut. I think it's because the paper is thin and it's a small point. Okay. So I have the dimensionals on there now, and I am going to go ahead and take the paper off of these. And that's the one I had wanted up here. And I'm going to bring it closer to the edge on the left because I know that my spacing is going to be a bit snug. And I'll push the cone up under, trying to center it. But ice cream isn't perfect all the time, so I'm not going to worry about being perfect either. Let's get the one that's the Melon Mambo color. I really like this one. Little kitty hair there. And that's pretty much the center of the card as I'm looking. We'll do a sweet little cone for that. And final one, paying attention to the margin over here, which is right on it, and the spacing between the cones. So it's quite a step down. And there we go. And what I would like to do, I think this one would be really fun if I added on. I think I like these, the opal rounds on this one too, I think. Makes it for a little bit of a bulkier card, so it might be one that I'm either going to need to put extra postage on or hand deliver. All right, so I'm going to put one here before I move on too quickly. My bow, I want to put my bow on. And I'm going to do that with these great glue dots. When I use ribbon, I love to use glue dots. They come on the roll and they're spaced out every inch or so because they adhere very well with the fabric ribbon. So it's on the back side there. And I'm just going to pop that right here. And I left these long purposefully because it's a long and lean card. So to give the rest of the card some visual interest there. But I'm also going to go ahead and pick up a couple more of these little guys. Oops. I like to put it on my snip there. I think they're bigger, so they're a little heavier. Let's see. Why don't we put one even down here? I love the flex in them. And I'm going to go for a smaller one. That is, I've got, let's see. Oh, that might be too. Maybe I'm going to leave it. It's going to stay. 1, 2, and 3. Great. I love this card. That's a fun card. It doesn't all fit in my screen, which is kind of funny. There it is. It's so pretty in person. I love the way that sparkles, and then these and the ribbon, really nice. So this doesn't fit in our standard envelope for Stampin' Up, so we have to make our own envelope. So let me slide this one out of the way. I'll set that up because we've used it and inked it up. Move those out of the way. So this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I've scored it on these dimensions, and up here I did a little snip and a snip, and here I rounded the edges. If I didn't have an edge rounder, you could always cut the edges like a corner too. This is the flap that you close last. So as I look at this, what I want to do is put on my tape and tear. So I know if I want to fold that up last, and I want it on the flip side here. So this is great. It's a roll of tape that is double-sided. And I put it on. It has the paper still as I'm applying it. And I'm going to run at the length of this edge, this long edge. And I only have to do it on these two sides. Okay. So I'm going to use my bone folder. And I could even maybe move this out of the way to give me a little extra space. And fold it here and here. So this is the last flap to close. The one without any tape on it is the first flap. So I'm going to close this, and then I'll remove the wax paper coating from this. Throw that away. And so my adhesive is on this flap here. And I'm just going to go ahead and seal it. This is really wonderful tape. It's probably the strongest. The Stampin' Seal would likely work quite well too. And sometimes the Stampin' Seal Plus is easier. Well, the Plus is what you can use in place of this. Easier to get on than the paper is to get off of the tape and tear. So then I'm just folding this edge up. There. So I've got my envelope, and I can carefully slide my card into it. With the longer ribbon, you do have to give it a little extra attention. And in it goes. Laying that out. Tucked away, and then I would add a little tape. If you're giving it in person, you could even maybe wrap it with a little ribbon. I might stamp it with an image over here, maybe doing another ice cream or a popsicle. And I wanted to show you too, so this is this one. I made this one in my class, or for my class, and I actually made the score line in the wrong place, if you can see that. So it was just like this one here. So then I decided, well, I don't want to throw the whole paper away. It's a perfectly fine envelope, but it looks weird with just one score line through it. So I decided, well, why don't I add a few more score lines and make it a design element? So I also did the same on the other side. So it's actually kind of fun. Carries right over to the back. And so it was kind of a creative opportunity that I used. And I liked it a lot. So that is the slimline.